Good morning. Welcome to Understanding the Self subject. Today, we will be talking about the lesson 3 of chapter 1, which is the psychological perspective of the self. At the end of our discussion, you should be able to first identify the different ideas in psychology about the self. Second, create your own definition of the self based on the definitions from psychology. And third, analyze the effects of various factors identified in psychology in the formation of the self. Okay, so let's start our discussion with this statement. I am who I am. Ako ay ako. 'Di ba naririnig natin yon at minsan pa nga sinasabi natin. But this statement begs the question, if you are who you are, then who are you that makes you who you are? So kung ikaw ay ikaw, paano mo nasabi? Kung ikaw ay ikaw, anong parte ng pagkatao mo, ng behavior mo, ng personalidad mo, yung bumubuo sa sarili mo? What makes you who you are? So dito pumapasok yung concept ng self. As we all know, definition of self changes. Iba't iba yung definition ng self from philosophical, which is our lesson 1, to sociological, which is our lesson 2, and now psychological perspective, which is our lesson 3. So in 2014, Jangyani and Tari defined the self. Sabi nila, self is the sense of personal identity and of who we are as individuals. So, under psychological perspective of the self, we will discuss seven psychologists. First, we have William James. We will be talking about the concept of self according to him. Second, we have David Lester. His idea naman or concept is multiple versus unified self. Third, we have Donald Winnicott, true versus false self. Four is Carl Rogers, self theory. Fifth is Sigmund Freud, The Importance of the Unconscious. Sixth is Albert Bandura, Self as Proactive and Agentic. Seventh is Carl Jung. It is actually pronounced as Jung, no? Carl Jung, Self as the Central Archetype. Okay, so iisa-isahin natin yan. First, let's have William James. Okay, so he is the father of American psychology. In 1890, he distinguished two understanding of the self. Sabi niya, the self as me and the self as I. So, anong ibig sabihin nun? Bakit meron pang me and I? Synonymous lang naman yon, di ba? Parang parehas lang. Pero bakit, according kay William James, ay magkaiba pa or magkahiwalay pa? So, for him, meron daw kasing dalawa, merong me and merong I. And this is what he calls the concept of self. Ano ba yung pinagkaiba ng I-self sa me-self? Simulan natin sa I-self. I-self is the metaphysics or basically it's concerned with the existence of the self. So, anong ibig sabihin natin doon? Yung I-self refers to the self that knows who he or who she is. No? Kung sino siya, mapalalaki, mapababae, or any gender. Alam mo kung sino ka. This is the thinking, acting, and feeling self. Okay? So everything in your mind is the I self. It reflects the soul of a person or what is now thought of as the mind and is called the pure ego. So ano yung pinagkaiba? Yung me self naman, this is the experience of the self. Okay? It is the empirical self. It is about describing the person's personal experiences, and it is actually divided to further categories tulad ng material self, social self, and spiritual self. Kasi dito, we are concerned about the experience. So, ano ulit yung pinagkaiba? Sa I self, we are concerned about the existence of the self. It involves the thinking and the feeling self. On the other hand, yung me self naman is concerned about the experience of the self. This is the empirical. Okay? So, yun yung pinagkaiba ng I self and me self ni William James. This is a quote from William James himself. Sabi niya, a man's self is the sum total of all that he can call his. Not only his body and his psychic powers, but his clothes and his house. So, bakit niya nasabi yon? Bakit kaya? Balikan natin yung discussion natin kanina. Sabi niya, yung self daw can be divided into two, di ba? So, yung psychic power na tinutukoy niya dito is yung existence or the I self. And of course, yung body or yung clothes and his house would be the me self, which is about the experience included yung material self. So sabi niya, self is the sum total of all that he can call his. Our next one is the British American psychologist, suicidologist, and professor emeritus psychology at Stockton University. He is David Lester. Sabi niya, importante sa pag-intindi sa sarili mo yung maintindihan mo daw muna yung konsepto ng multiple versus unified self. Sabi ni Lester, the construction of multiple selves varies across different roles and relationships. So ano ba yung multiple selves? Multiple selves is basically your different identities. From the word itself, multiple, ibig sabihin hindi lang isa, no? More than three, three or more. Okay? Halimbawa ako, Ira as a student, Ira as a teacher, as a daughter, as a friend, as a cousin. So may iba't iba akong selves at iba't iba din yung identity ko doon, right? Magkakaiba din naman yung pinapakita natin when we're with friends, when we're with our family, o kaya ako when I'm with my colleagues, okay? So ganon. For you, students, usually nandun kayo sa adolescent stage. At sa stage na ito, pumapasok yung identity crisis. What do we mean by that? Ano ba yung gusto mo talaga? At sino ka ba talaga? Medyo confused pa kayo doon. No? Binubuo nyo pa yung sarili nyo. At yun yung nagiging problema kasi you are trying to build yourself, no? Yung concept of self mo at dahil ang dami nga ng sarili or versions of you, ang hirap niyang buuin. Because you have multiple selves, ang nagiging problema, mahirap yung pag-cope mo with your different selves, which constitutes a formidable task among adolescents. Kasi kailangan mong i-prioritize kung sino ka ba talaga. What do we mean by constitutes formidable task? Medyo confused ka, no? Sa dami ng responsibilities, sa dami ng identities, no? For example, sino ka ba talaga? Gusto mo ba talaga maggitara o baka gusto mo lang kumanta? Pero napipilitan ka maggitara kasi ine-expect mo or ine-expect ka ng mga friends mo na maggitara. Gusto mo ba talaga mag-basketball or mas gusto mong mag-board games? So, nandun kayo sa time that you are trying to identify kung sino ka talaga. And sabi din dito, these challenges contribute heavily to the young person's struggle for a unified self. At the end of the day, ang goal natin is for you to have a unified self, which is for you to identify kung sino ka ba talaga. Our third psychologist is Donald Winnicott. Okay? So, Donald Winnicott is an English pediatrician and psychoanalyst. Sabi niya, the self is composed of true and false self. So, kanina, multiple and unified self, ngayon naman, true and false self. According to Winnicott, the function of the self is to hide and protect the true self. Okay? So, the false self and the true, bakit natin tinatry na itago yung totoong ugali natin or totoong pagkatao natin? Di ba may mga experiences tayo wherein minsan malungkot, pero nagpapanggap tayong masaya kasi nga ayaw nating malaman ng iba yung pinagdadaanan natin. There are times that we fear na i-judge nila tayo or baka iwasan nila tayo. So there are cases that we pretend to be someone else so that we can be included in the group, for example. So ganun yung mga nangyayari, no? We create a false self to hide our true self in a way that this is also related to our discussion. Ito yung false self natin. Ito yung social identity natin. Ito yung pinapakita natin sa tao. And yung true self naman natin, ito yung usually tinatago natin or in some cases, ipinapakita lang natin sa mga taong pinagkakatiwalaan natin. Okay? So, we're only honest to the people we respect, people we trust. So, sabi din dito, people tend to display a false self to impress. So, gaya nga ng sinabi ko kanina, no? Sometimes we pretend to be someone else so we could belong to a group para magkaroon tayo ng friends, makasalamuha tayo dun sa grupo na gusto nating kabilangan. Kahit na hindi ka mayaman dahil yung mga kasama mo mayayaman, laging naka-Starbucks or laging naka-iced coffee, no, makikibali ka rin. Kahit ang totoo is medyo kapos kayo or yung budget mo hindi naman enough for iced coffee every day. Okay? So, kakailanganin mo, um, like, manghingi ng another budget for your other expenses or expenses, or worse, kakailanganin mo ng maglakad next time kasi wala ka ng pamasahe, naubos na kakakape mo or kaka-cloud chase mo just for you to be belong in that particular group. Okay? So we try to impress people. And of course, it is not easy, no? It's not easy to pretend to be someone else. It's not easy to pretend that you're okay. It's not easy to pretend that you're doing fine. Of course, ideally kasi, it is better if you show your true self. No, wala kang tinatago. Sabi nga, meron akong nabasa na kapag nagsinungaling ka, parang kailangan mo laging may tandaan. No? Kasi hindi yun yung totoo. Siyempre, kapag tinanong ka, what's true, yun agad yung masasabi mo. No? That's your instinct. Hindi mo na kailangan mag-isip because that's the truth. Pero kapag may sinabi kang mali, you always have to remind yourself na, ito yung sinabi ko kay gantong person. I need to remember this kasi baka tanungin ng ibang tao or tanungin ng kaibigan nun, then mali yung masabi ko. Okay? So, it is better if you show your true self. Pero kay Winnicott, dinagdag niya that the self can change depending on situations. So, sa part naman ni Donald Winnicott, as our third psychologist, naiintindihan niya, no, na we are trying to change ourselves depending on the situations that we are currently in. Our fourth psychologist is Carl Rogers. So, he believed in the inherent goodness of people. But before that, he is actually a psychologist, of course, American psychologist, and he is considered to be one of the founding fathers of psychotherapy research. Okay, he proposed the concept of self theory. Again, he believed in the inherent goodness of people. What do we mean by that? Para sa kanya, yung tao is natural na mabait. Okay? He emphasizes the importance of free will and psychological growth. He also suggested that actualizing tendency is the driving force behind human behavior. So, human beings are always striving for self fulfillment or self actualization. When the need of the self are denied, severe anxiety may result. So, halimbawa, pag may gusto ka at hindi mo nakukuha, it might result to anxiety. May gusto kang grade na di mo nakuha, nagkakaroon ka ng anxiety. And he proposed that self-concept. So, ano ba yung self-concept? Self-concept refers to the image of oneself. Carl Rogers defined the self as a flexible and changing perception of personal identity. Self develops from interaction with significant people and self-awareness, and it makes sense kung iisipin mo kasi nade-develop natin yung self of sense natin when we interact with other people. Ganun pala. Ganun pala ako, no? Ay, oo nga, parang hindi ko napapansin yon pero dahil sinabi mo, ngayon, na-realize ko na. Okay? So, those are included sa factors on how we conceive ourselves. According to Carl Rogers, these are three components of the self-concept. So, yung una is the self-image or how you see yourself. Paano mo ba binavalue yung sarili mo? Minsan yung self-image natin is a bit inflated. Minsan yung tingin natin sobrang bongga ng perception natin sa sarili natin. Sabi nga nila parang inaangat mo yung sarili mong bangko. Okay? So, feeling natin, there are times na ang ganda-ganda natin o kaya ang sexy-sexy natin. So, there are also some cases naman na super negative naman tayo. Like, feeling natin, ang pangit-pangit natin, di tayo super confident lumabas kasi we see ourselves as not as good as we see ourselves yesterday, for example, no? So, yung second component naman of the self-concept is self-esteem or how much you value yourself. So, maraming factors yung nakakaapekto sa self-esteem, including how we compare ourselves to others and how others respond to us. So when people respond to us positively, of course, usually we develop a positive self-esteem. Parang nag-good mood tayo, no? Hindi na natin malimutan yung sinabing maganda about sa atin. Parang feeling natin kumpleto na yung araw natin, right? So on the other hand, when we compare ourselves to others and find ourselves lacking, it can have a negative impact on our self-esteem. So paano yun? Halimbawa, nakita ka nga ng kaibigan mo and sabi sa'yo, "Ah, ang ganda-ganda mo naman today." So, parang nagkakaroon yon ng effect on your aura, on your behavior, on your day in general. On the other hand, kapag kino-compare naman natin yung sarili natin sa iba, ta's feeling natin, "Ay, buti pa siya matangkad, buti pa siya maputi." Okay? So, nagkakaroon siya ng negative effect on our self-esteem. Next one we have is our ideal self. Okay? So, yung ideal self, ito yung gusto natin. From the term itself, how how you wish you could be. Ano ba yung gusto mo 5 to 10 years from now? Gusto ko ganito ako. Gusto ko mayaman na ako. Gusto ko successful na ako. Okay? So, yung ideal self natin is affected by our self-image and our self-esteem. So sabi din ni Carl Rogers, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. So if you think about it, oo nga naman, bakit kung kailan tanggap ko yung sarili ko, alam ko na yung strengths and weaknesses ko, then saka ako pwede magbago. Kasi nga, you know your strength, you know your weaknesses. And therefore, kaya mong i-address yung weaknesses mo at kaya mo pang i-further strengthen yung strengths mo. Our fifth psychologist is Sigmund Freud. He is one of the most popular psychologists and ang focus ng work niya is more on the importance of unconscious. Sabi pa niya, the mind is like an iceberg. It floats with 1/7 of its bulk around or above water. Okay? So sabi niya, yung mind daw natin, yung conscious lang nun ay yung around 1/7. At most part na ng mind natin is composed of the unconscious. Okay, so Freud identified three structures of personality. So this is just a review for you because we already talked about this, right? So the id, the ego, and the superego. So id, again, ito yung childlike. Gusto niya makukuha niya yung gusto niya at ngayon na agad. I want it and I want it now. Okay? So si ego naman, um, it works on reality principle. Parang sasabihin niya, wait lang, pag-isipan natin. Gano'n, okay? So, we need a little bit of planning. Si superego naman, ito na yung moral principle natin. Siya yung nagsabi na, "Bawal 'yan, hindi mo 'yan dapat gawin." Okay? So, kumbaga, if we give an example, si id yung parang demonyo na bumubulong, si superego yung anghel, at si ego yung gitna na magde-decide at magsasabi ng, "Wait lang, pag-isipan natin, pag-usapan natin 'yan." Okay? If you look at the image, ito yung sinasabi ko, si Id, yung nagsasabi na, "I want it and I want it now." Para siyang bata, wala siyang pasensya. Kapag gutom siya, kakain siya ngayon din. Okay? Ngayon naman, si super ego, sasabihin niya, "You can't have it. It's not right. It's not the right thing to do. Hindi tama yan." Pero si ego, sasabihin niya, "Pag-usapan natin yan, pagplanuhan natin yan." Siya yung parang magiging mediator or middleman. Here's another situational example. Sabi ni Id, "Gutom na ako, gusto ko ng kumain." Okay? So, alam naman natin 'yan, yung feeling na kapag nakaramdam ka ng gutom is gutom ka talaga, 'no? Gusto mo talagang kumain. Pero si super ego sasabihin sa'yo, "Wait lang, nasa meeting tayo. Hindi naman tama na kumakain ka diyan habang nasa meeting tayo. So, you have to be respectful of the people you meet, of the people you work with, yung mga kasama mo sa meeting." So ngayon, si ego na yung magde-decide what to do. Siya yung nasa gitna, 'di ba? Siya yung middleman or mediator. Siya yung nagba-balance, kumbaga. Okay, sasabihin naman ni ego, "Sige, tapusin na lang natin yung meeting tapos kakain na tayo agad." Okay, so that's how it works with the id, ego, and superego. Kasama din sa concept ni Sigmund Freud, yung psychosexual stages. So, there are 5 psychosexual stages according to Sigmund Freud. And ano-ano yon? Yung una is the oral stage or birth to 1 year. At yung erogenous zone sa stage na ito ay sa mouth. Okay? Kaya yung mapapansin ninyo, yung fixation ng bata pa tayo is focus on the mouth. Minsan, nagtatamsak, o di kaya yung pagdede or breastfeeding. Then the next stage after that is the anal stage, kung saan ang erogenous zone natin is nasa bowel and bladder control. Ito yung time na nagpa-potty training na tayo, pinipili tayo ng magulang natin na i-train kung kailan at kung saan at saka kung paano tayo dapat dumumi, no? So, hindi na nagda-diaper, okay? And the third one, we have phallic stage. 3 to 6 years old, kung saan yung erogenous zone natin ay nasa genitals. Ito naman yung panahon na nagiging curious tayo about our body parts, specifically with our genitals, okay? So, the fourth one is the latent stage, 6 to puberty. Dito naman is inactive yung libido natin kasi we are focused on a lot of things, okay? Usually, we learn about sports, kaya minsan naman nagfo-focus tayo sa pag-aaral, so nagiging latent yung libido natin. Hindi siya active, ibig sabihin. And lastly, we have the genital stage, puberty hanggang mamatay tayo. So, ito na yung kung kailan nagmamature yung sexual interest natin. Again, there are 5 psychosexual stages: the oral, anal, phallic, latent, and genital. So, yung ego, they develop during the oral stage kasi since ipinanganak tayo, meron ng ego. Dahil ito ay composed of our needs, ano yung gusto natin, ano yung kailangan natin. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo din, yung ego, di ba, sabi niya, I want it and I want it now. Bata pa tayo, ganun na talaga. Imagine na baby, di ba, nung pinanganak siya, pag nagutom siya, iiyak siya. Wala siyang pakialam kung kakatulog lang ng nanay niya, basta gutom ako, kakain ako. Okay? Because the ego develops starting from birth. Okay? Si superego naman develops during the phallic stage kasi yung superego is more of yung social expectations natin, ina-absorb natin. Siyempre, we have to learn those expectations first, kaya nade-develop siya during the phallic stage. Okay. So, ito ay hindi galing kay Sigmund Freud mismo, pero this is quite funny and somehow really true, no? Totoo naman kasi. Sabi niya, this is the bloopers in stages of human development. Birth to 2 years old, pakyutan ko no. Ages 3 to 8 naman is paramihan ng toys. 9 to 18 years old, pataasan ng grades. 19 to 25 years old, padamihan ng syota. 26 to 35 years old, pagandahan ng asawa. 36 to 45 years old, palakihan ng income. 46 to 55 years old, padamihan ng kabet. 56 to 70 years old, padamihan ng sakit. And 70 and above, oh, hindi ko pala na-edit 'to. 70 and above is patagalan naman daw ng buhay. Okay. So, yun yung sabi. Medyo funny kaya in-add ko na rin, hindi ko lang na-edit dun sa 70 and above 'no. But this is actually true if you'll realize it, na medyo tugma nga, swak dun sa edad kung ano yung bloopers sa stages ng human development. Okay, moving forward. Now let's proceed with the psychological defense mechanisms. So ano po ba ito? These are the stages that we use unconsciously to protect ourselves from anxiety arising, from unacceptable thoughts or feelings. So halimbawa, may mga pangyayari na hindi natin matanggap or may mga ganap um, which causes our anxiety. For example, our mind works amazing ways, sabi nga, different ways for us to avoid such situations. So, yung isipan na natin yung gumagawa ng paraan para mailayo tayo or kumbaga is, how do we call this? Mailigoy, no? Yung isipan natin para hindi makapag-focus sa anxiety. So, when you look in the internet, actually, there are different numbers of psychological defense mechanisms. Minsan 12, there are also 15, 20. But in our class, we will only focus on the 10 psychological defense mechanisms. So, una, we have denial. Denial refusal. Denial meaning, this is the refusal to recognize a threatening situation. So, may mga bagay na hindi natin matanggap at yung gagawin natin is i-deny natin or itatanggi natin siya. Kung mapapansin mo, actually, this is common kapag nawalan tayo ng mahal sa buhay. Merong period kung saan sasabihin natin parang hindi totoo, parang hindi pa ako makapaniwala. Okay? Kasi, for example, nung huli mo siyang makita is malakas pa siya. So, things like that. Those are denial. Okay? Next, we have repression. Repression, sabi dito, is pushing threatening situations out of conscious memory. So, ano yung nangyayari dito? An example of this, okay, this is very sensitive, no? Our example would be rape victims, especially at the young age, rape at a young age. So when they grow old, they don't have a recollection ng mga nangyari. That they were actually raped when they were a child kasi sobrang anxiety yung dala ng experience na yon. That your mind actually repressed that experience. So tinanggal niya of your conscious memory, nilagay niya yon sa iyong unconscious part of mind. Okay? And the third one we have is rationalization. We make up acceptable excuses for unacceptable behavior. Okay, halimbawa dati, magja-jogging ka, pero pagkatapos kakain, sasabihin mo, okay lang yun, okay lang kumain ng cake, okay lang mag-McDo after mag-jogging sa complex. Kasi, nag-jogging naman ako eh. Pwede na yun, acceptable na yun. Okay? So, rationalization, nira-rationalize mo yung isang bagay para maging acceptable siya. Kahit alam mo sa sarili mo na hindi naman talaga dapat. So, ayan, denial, repression, rationalization as our first three defense mechanisms. The fourth one is projection. So, ano yung projection? Placing one's own unacceptable thoughts onto others. Halimbawa, galit ka sa isang tao pero sasabihin mo, hey naku, galit naman kasi sa akin yan. No? Iisipin mo na galit siya sa'yo, pero yung totoo is ikaw yung galit. Okay? So, pinoproject mo siya. Pinoproject mo yung feelings mo, yung behavior mo to another person. Another example would be if you were cheating, pero ang sasabihin mo is, uy mare, feeling ko nag-cheat siya sa akin. But in reality, you are the one cheating, no? Pero pinoproject mo yung behavior na yon, yung unacceptable thoughts mo dun sa partner mo. So, that's projection. On the other hand, we have reaction formation. Ano naman yung reaction formation? Ito naman, it condemns something that has an unconscious appeal. So, something na feeling mo hindi tatanggapin ng ibang tao. So, ano ba yun? Paano ba yun? For example, sasabihin mo, ay naku, grabe nga yung mga naninigarilyo na yan. Kunwari, inis ka sa mga naninigarilyo. Pero in reality, ikaw sa sarili mo is naninigarilyo ka pala. So, you form a reaction into something na feeling mo mas acceptable for other people, okay? Kahit hindi talaga yun yung reaction mo or yun yung opinion mo. Next, we have displacement. Ano yung displacement? So, this is the transfer of emotions or behavior to another less threatening. Anong halimbawa nito? Halimbawa, nag-away kayo ng jowa mo. Tapos ang gagawin mo, susuntukin mo yung pader. Bakit sa pader? Bakit ka sa pader naglalabas ng sama ng loob? Wala namang ginawa sa'yo yung pader, di ba? So, that's displacement. Kasi feeling mo, yung pader, hindi makakalaban sa'yo. No? So, another example, nagtatrabaho ka, no? Okay naman yung work mo, pero pinagalitan ka ng boss mo. Siyempre, hindi ka makakasagot kasi boss mo yun eh, 'di ba? So, ang gagawin mo pagka-uwi mo sa bahay is ang aawayin mo yung asawa mo or yung anak mo kasi feeling mo they are less threatening than your boss. Okay? Next, we have regression. Falling back on childlike patterns as a way of coping with stressful situations. Yung most common example of regression ay yung mga kids na nagkaroon ng baby sister or baby brother. So, hindi na sila yung bunso, no? Dahil medyo na-threaten sila na hindi na sila yung bunso, ang gagawin nila, they will fall back to their childlike pattern. Halimbawa nun is magwewet ulit sila ng bed, magpapababy ulit sila, kasi nga gusto nilang ina-assure sila or ina-assure yung sarili nila na sila pa rin yung baby sa family. No, they are threatened by the new babies sa family. Okay? Next, number 8 is identification. So, ano namang meron dito? You try to become someone else or you try to become someone like someone else to deal with one's anxiety. Okay? Usually, nangyayari to with high school students. You want to belong. Ayaw mong ma-exclude sa grupo, di ba? You want to be part of a group. So, you try to be someone else kahit hindi ka kikay, magpapakakikay ka to belong to that group. Okay? You try to identify with the group kahit hindi naman talaga yun yung personality mo. Okay? Ninth, compensation. Okay, so you are trying to make up for areas in which a lack is perceived by becoming superior in some area. Siyempre, hindi naman tayo magaling sa lahat ng bagay. We are all aware of that. Yung iba siguro magaling academically, yung iba magaling sa sports, yung iba magaling sa performing arts, pero hindi sa lahat. Okay? So, ang gagawin mo sa compensation, for example, you're not good academically, you will try to focus and exit kung saan ka talaga magaling. Which is, for example, sports. So, yun yung compensation. You try to compensate dun sa feeling mo lacking ka, sa feeling mo kulang ka, by focusing on another aspect, no, or another factor kung saan ka naman magaling. Lastly, we have sublimation. Sublimation is probably one of the most interesting, no? Turning socially unacceptable urges into socially acceptable behavior. So, bakit siya interesting? Kasi sa sublimation, ang ginagawa mo dito, halimbawa, gusto mo lagi manakit ang tao. No? Meron kang ganang urge. Meron kang urge na gusto mo laging manapak, manampiga, ganyan. No? Pero alam mo na, hindi siya acceptable behavior, right? So, paano ang gagawin mo? Anong gagawin mo? So, ang gagawin mo is sasali ka or magpa-participate ka sa boxing or kaya sa rugby na sport. Bakit? Kasi doon, ang panununtok is normal. Yung panununtok doon sa sports na yon is acceptable. So, ang ginagawa mo, yung unacceptable urges mo, ay ginagawa mong acceptable. Pero syempre, within a context pa rin. Okay, doon sa legal pa rin. So, those are the 10 psychological defense mechanism. Next is our sixth Canadian-American psychologist. He is Albert Bandura, and he proposed the social cognitive theory. Aside from that, according to him, the self is both proactive and agentic. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Naniniwala daw siya na ang behavioral modification ay posible. Sabi ni Bandura, humans are producers of their life circumstances and not just products of them. Bakit kaya? Kasi nga sabi niya, humans are capable of behavioral modifications. Hindi tayo produkto lang ng pangyayari sa buhay natin, no? According to him, we have free will. Meron tayong sariling desisyon. We can react, we can make changes in our actions, and we can make things happen. Si Albert Bandura ay isang Stanford University psychologist. According to a social cognitive theory, ang mga tao ay agents or originators of experience. Meaning, hindi lang tayo basta-basta nagre-react sa experience, but we are the originators of experience. So, paano niya kaya nasabi yon? Sabi niya, as humans o tayo bilang tao, may kakayanan tayo to act and make things happen, and to support this claim, he proposed for a genetic perspective. First, sabi ni Bandura, people are capable of doing things intentionally. Okay, anong ibig sabihin? We can behave with a purpose in mind. So, lahat daw ng ginagawa natin may dahilan. Hindi tayo gumagawa ng kahit na anong bagay without a purpose in mind. Anong halimbawa natin dito? So, for example, nag-aral ka last night. Bakit? Kasi may quiz o kaya may exam. Nag-wave ka kay crush sa messenger pero kunwari napindot lang, no? Pero may purpose dahil gusto nating magparamdam or gusto mong magparamdam dun sa crush mo. Okay? So the first one for agentic perspectives is everything we do have a purpose. So the second agentic perspective, according to Bandura, is forethought. Ano yung forethought? Sabi niya, we as humans are capable of anticipating outcomes. Ano ibig sabihin? Hindi dahil manghuhula tayo ha, but we can anticipate outcomes because we can observe. Anong halimbawa natin dito? For example, lumabas ka ng bahay, nakita mong makulimlim, madagem, or maitim yung langit. So, anong iisipin mo? Iisipin mo is uulan, and because you are expecting rain, anong gagawin mo? Of course, you will bring an umbrella. Kasi nga, we can expect outcomes. We are capable of expecting outcomes. Third one is self-reactiveness. This is the third agentic perspective. Dito naman, Bandura pointed out that we can react to certain situations and be motivated to regulate our actions. And ang halimbawa, napapansin mo you're gaining weight, tumataba ka na, so you'd react. How would you react? You would react by regulating your actions. Paano? You will do diets or specifically healthy diets, no? Aside from that, you will do exercise. Kasi sabi nga nila kapag pinagsama mo ang food at exercise ay medicine na yan for a healthy body. no? So, anong pinopoint dito? We can react to certain situations and then we can be motivated to regulate our actions. Last or fourth, sa ating four agentic perspectives or agentic perspectives is self-reflectiveness. Ibig sabihin, we are capable of reflecting our actions. Halimbawa, pwede nating isipin, tama ba yung ginawa ko? Okay lang ba yung ginawa ko? Okay? So, kaya mo mag-reflect. Halimbawa, nag-joke ka sa prof mo and then ikaw, sa sobrang tawa mo dun sa joke is naging feeling close ka. Sobrang tawang-tawa ka, nahampas mo yung prof mo habang tumatawa ka. Then naisip mo, "Hala, tama lang ba yung ginawa ko? Parang mali." Kasi siyempre professional pa rin yung prof ko, mas nakakatanda. Nasa setting kami ng classroom. We are in the educational setting. So ako, estudyante, siya professor, parang mali ata. Okay, so ikaw nag-reflect ka. So after your reflection, you can do much needed modification. So anong gagawin mo? Ano ba yung modification? Di mo na mababago yung ginawa mong mali, na-realize mo na mali, pero somehow you can make things to apologize, no? Sasabihin mo, hindi mo na gagawin next time, magso-sorry ka, "Sir, sorry, masyado po ako nag-feeling close, nahampas ko kayo." Okay? So basically, with self-reflectiveness, we can reflect our actions and behaviors and make needed modifications. Okay, so aside from the four different agentic perspectives, binigyang halaga din ni Bandura yung social learning or learning through observation. Sabi niya, mahalaga daw yung role ng conscious thought, kasama na rin yung self-efficacy o yung paniniwala natin sa sarili nating kakayahan. Sabi nga ni Poe in Kung Fu Panda, when you believe in yourself, everything is possible. At eto din 'no, ito pa yung idea ng theory ni Albert Bandura. Mayroon daw tayong four steps para matuto tayo through observations. At ito yung attention, retention, motor production, and motivation. First is attention. Siyempre para matuto ka. So you need to pay attention. At kung nadi-distract ka or something is distracting your attention, siyempre kailangan magkaroon or um kapag nade-distract ka, magkakaroon yon ng negative impact on your observational learning. Also, 'pag yung model mo or yung ino-observe mo is interesting or bago sa'yo, mas malaki naman yung chance para i-focus mo or i-dedicate mo yung full attention mo towards learning. The second step is retention. So, ano yung retention? Retention is the ability to store information at mahalagang parte din ito ng learning process. So, retention can be affected by a number of factors, pero yung ability to retain information and act on it after is an important part of observational learning. Okay. So, nag-pay ka na ng attention, then you retain the information. The next step is actually performing the behavior you observe. And that's what we call motor reproduction. So, sabi nga, practice makes perfect, okay? So, further practice of learned behavior leads to improve and skilled advancement. So, if you know SB19, the Filipino group trained in Korea. So, sumikat sila kasi magaling silang kumanta, of course, and magaling din silang sumayaw, no? Pero they revealed na yung steps ng kanta nila or yung sayaw, yung pinapractice nila is they practice 1,000 times. And of course, it makes sense. Kasi sobrang galing talaga nilang mag-perform, both sa pagkanta at sa pagsayaw. So, sabi nga, practice makes perfect. Okay, so for the observational learning to be successful, you have to be motivated in order for you to imitate the behavior that has been modeled. Okay? So, syempre, dapat gustuhin mo yung gawain. And papaano yon? Syempre, dito na papasok yung reinforcement and punishment. So, if you would have noticed sa picture, meron lalaking tumatakbo, right? And sa harap niya is merong reinforcement or reward, which is yung carrot. And sa likod niya naman is merong punishment. Ito naman yung pamalo, 'no? At ito yung punishment kasi natin dito sa example natin is physical punishment. But hindi lahat naman ng punishment ay physical, right? There are other punishments na hindi physical, right? Let's give another example. Um, Example, bibili ka ng milk tea sa suking tindahan na milk tea house. Halimbawa, lagi ka nang nabili do'n, malapit lang naman sa inyo, walking distance. So ikaw, yun yung stress reliever mo, pag-inom ng milk tea. Ngayon, may bago silang pakulo. Pag bumili ka ng milk tea at meron kang container na dala, magkakaroon ka ng ₱5 discount. So that would be your reinforcement. And punishment would be kakailanganin mo magbayad ng additional ₱5 kung hindi ka magdadala ng sarili mong tumbler or lalagyan. Okay? So, reinforcement and punishment are important parts of motivation para maengganyo kang gawin yung mga na-observe mong behavior. Okay, so yung mga binigay nating example kanina, this focus on an individual or ikaw mismo. But aside from that, observing other people experience some type of reinforcement or punishment is also effective. So anong ibig sabihin natin dito? Eto, ginawa ko 'to sa klase ko kasi napapansin ko na lagi silang late, 'no? Ang klase kasi namin is maaga, first subject nila 7:30 AM class. So anong ginawa ko? So ang lahat ng maagang pumasok binigyan ko ng +5. So anong naging epekto? Napansin ko na yung mga estudyante ko is pumapasok na sila ng maaga. Dahil nabigyan ko nga ng +5 sa recitation. So, anong naging effect? So, they were motivated to do the same, yung mga hindi maagang pumasok or yung mga laging late, yung mga malalayo ang bahay sa school. So, ang ginawa nila, inagahan na nila yung pasok because they know that they will receive incentive or what we call reinforcement. Okay? And that served as their motivation. Sa isip siguro ng mga bata, so kung sila puwedeng maka-receive ng enforcement, siyempre ako din kaya ko rin 'yun. Babangon na lang ako ng mas maaga ng 30 minutes para meron akong oras if ever naman na magkaroon ng traffic, 'no, or kung ano man, kung wala pa si mother nagwo-work pa or naliligo pa bago pumasok sa work para mabigyan ako ng baon. So, I have allotted 30 minutes. Siguro enough na 'yon. If not enough, for the next day, I'll be extending 1 hour, 'no? So, naisip nila yon dahil nakita nila na merong na-receive na, um, +5, 'no, yung other classmates nila. And they also want to gain that 5 plus, that +5 or that same reinforcement. Kaya ginawa nila yung mga pag-a-adjust sa paggising, okay. Sabi pa ni Albert Bandura, self-belief does not necessarily ensure success, but self-disbelief assuredly spawns failure. So ano yung gusto niyang iparating sa atin dito? So yung paniniwala sa sarili, hindi naman nangangahulugan na it would eventually lead to success. Siyempre, marami pang other factors, right? We have to consider other factors. Pero pag hindi ka kasi naniniwala sa sarili mo, ibig sabihin nun, it would ensure failure. Kasi how would you make other actions or other decisions if yung paniniwala pa lang sa sarili mo na first step is hindi mo kayang gawin or hindi mo na nagagawa, okay? Kung hindi ka naniniwala sa sarili mo, you wouldn't even try. You wouldn't even try to do things you want to do. So what's important is that you believe in yourself. That's actually the first step, okay? So our last psychologist is Carl Jung. Okay, it is actually pronounced as Jung, hindi pala siya Jung. Carl Jung. So naniniwala naman siya na everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Paano dun? Paano yung pagkakaintindi natin dun? Paano natin ipapaliwanag yon? So, yung mga bagay daw na we find irritating or nakakainis, nakakaburyo sa ibang tao can actually lead us to understand ourselves better. Yung pala yung puwede pala yung mga bagay na kinaiinisan natin sa ibang tao ay magpapaunawa pa patungkol sa sarili natin. Mas maiintindihan pa natin yung sarili natin. He believed that the self is the central archetype of our personality. So ano yung archetype? Archetypes are universal inborn models of people, behavior, or people, behaviors, or personalities that play a role in influencing human behavior. At si Carl Jung, he was able to identify five major archetype of personality. So ano-ano ba yung five personality archetypes ni Carl Jung? Una, we have persona. Ano ba yung persona? Ito yung public personality natin. Okay? Or ito yung paano ba nating ipakita or ipakilala yung sarili natin to the world. Okay? Yung persona is galing siya sa Latin word which literally translates to mask or maskara. Kasi ito yung sinusuot natin. Ito yung ipinapakita natin sa mundo. So persona represents all the different social masks that we wear among various groups and situations. Okay? So pagkasama ko, yung mga kaibigan ko, ganitong maskara yung suot ko. Yung jolly person na ako. Pag naman kasama ko yung mga serious friends ko, seryosong tao ako. Okay? So that's the mask you wear in different set of situations with different set of people. Okay? So the second personality archetype is the shadow. The shadow naman is a dark side or part of yourself that you dislike. No? Kasama dito yung sex and other life instincts. Yung mga bagay na gusto natin gawin pero alam naman natin na hindi pwede, alam naman natin na bawal. Okay? So kasama dito yung mga bagay na unacceptable for the society and para na rin sa ating mga sarili. So, ano yung examples natin dito? Halimbawa, you want to cheat, pero alam mo naman na mali yun. That's part of our shadow. That's the thing we don't want and we don't like about ourselves. Okay? Next is the third one we have is anima. Anima is the female archetype or basically the feminine image in the male psyche. Siyempre, if we have feminine archetype, we also have male archetype. This is what we call animus. So, ano yung animus? This is our male archetype or the male image in the female psyche. According to Carl Jung, anima and animus represent the true self rather than the image we present to others. What do we mean by that? Kasi 'di ba, kung ikukumpara natin sa persona, kung saan yung social image natin, yun yung gusto natin ipakita, no? Yun namang shadow, yun yung dark side natin na ayaw nating ipakita. Eto naman yung anima and animus, yung true self natin. Since we are talking about self, self is actually the last of the five personality archetype. At yung self is the central archetype of personality. It represents the wholeness, okay? Pinagsama-sama no apat. Aside from the five major personality archetype, Carl Jung also identified seven more personality archetypes. Ano-ano yung mga yon? We have the father, the mother, the child, the wise old man, the hero, the maiden, and the trickster. Ano-ano sila? So, yung father, ito yung authoritative figure. Ito yung powerful according to them, no? The mother naman, on the other hand, is the nurturing or comforting archetype. The child is longing for innocence. The wise old man is guidance, knowledge, and wisdom. The hero is about champion, defender, rescuer. The maiden is about innocence, and the trickster is about deceiving, the liar, and the troublemaker. So to review, makikita nyo dyan sa image yung different personality archetype dito sa PowerPoint presentation natin. So we have the persona. Okay, just try to imagine na meron tayong image, no? Meron tayong picture na yung persona, yun yung nakamask. No, merong mascara because this is our social personality. Ito yung pinapakita natin sa world. And then we have the shadow, which is our dark personality. Ito naman yung mga bagay na ayaw natin about ourselves or yung negative things about oneself or negative things about ourselves. Negative behavior. And then we have the anima and animus, which is feminine and male archetypes respectively. And of course, we have the self, which represents the wholeness. Okay, so that's it for our lesson 3, psychological perspective of the self. We have this activity. You have to accomplish this one. And that's the end of our discussion. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening. Goodbye and stay safe, everyone.